Okay. Right, so we have come to the time of the day where we're going to bring somebody onto the stage who's probably going to be holding onto a beer. Have you got one? He has, hasn't he? Yes, as well. Do you want me to hold it for you? You're coming on with it. And he's no stranger to the stage. He's also no stranger to Canva, as I have discovered in the 432 presentations he sent me. So I'm kind of hoping that the one that comes on the screen, it was the last one he sent me, but I'm making no promises, all right? He knows what he's talking about, and he has got something really phenomenal, I think is the word, to share with you. And you know who he is. It's Mr. Andy Newitz! With his beer.
We've done that tune. We've done that tune. Now, I've got to shake off this feeling. Sam said something phenomenal. I mean, after the guys that have been on, I'm honestly not so sure. Like, they've killed it, and trying to follow Max and stuff after that, honestly, it's not gonna, right? I don't think personally, but we'll see. We'll see what happens. And for me, it's still scary. Like, proper scary. I've been sitting there shitting myself for the last hour. As the time gets closer, it's just like, oh my God, I need to go and get a pint, and I'll get another pint. I have to have a pint, I have to. And I called this Unlocking the Universe, and now I kind of stand there, I think, fucking hell, that's a bit major. That's a bit of a task, right? So maybe we'll dumb it down a little to the unlocking the laws of nature, right? Because you might want to travel the world, and I'm going to tell you something about this presentation, actually. She said, like, however many I sent, honestly, it could have been hundreds. And the first ones I did were just all words, because I wanted to make sure that I got out everything. I didn't want to miss anything out. And Sam said, you don't need to do that. You can just do it with, visuals. You know this stuff. I'm like, oh my God, I know it, but like, what if I get it wrong? What if I stumble? What if I fuck it up? She's like, you won't. So I took out loads of words and put in loads of pictures. And there's going to be probably some slides that, like, honestly, I don't know what they mean. Right? I don't know what the pictures mean. There's been one particular one, I went through it and I've practiced, and the only time I haven't been through the whole thing without help once. So we'll see how it goes. I've got Canva in my pocket, so we'll call on it if I need it. But there's one particular side with this little thing, and I don't know what it's for. We'll see. But you might want to travel the world, right? You might want to quit your job. You might want your first 5K, 10K, 20K month. And none of that stuff is going to be possible without understanding the laws and how we can work with them. So there's all, there's a lot of woo-woo stuff that we go on about. And a lot of people think that I'm kind of anti-woo-woo, and I hope that the last year on this stage it proves that I'm actually the opposite. But I like to know that why does this stuff work, right? I need to understand why. So I want you guys to leave here with this kind of superhuman ability when you leave here. That's my aim. Where do I point over there? Now, this is London 001, and potentially one of my most favourite pictures that's ever been created. I love it. And it's amazing to think that this is it here again, right? I love that picture. And in London 001, I talked about entrepreneurship and why it was important to me. Why was it important that I see myself as an entrepreneur? And it's important that you lot do as well, because you are. Like, you've literally started a business. You might not see yourself that way yet, entrepreneurial. I might be a serial entrepreneur, failing more times than probably everybody put together in this room. But it's important that you guys see yourself that way. So that's what I talked about in the first one. The London 2, so here, last year, I kind of went full on woo-woo. I don't know who was here. How many were here? right? Don't worry, I'm not going to make you cry this time. Thank you very much, I appreciate that. And I think it kind of connected people in a way that it hadn't been done before, right? That kind of stuff hadn't been done before. And I don't know if you remember this statement, our thoughts become our words become our, I don't know if you were asleep at the time when we were talking about this, but maybe not. Become our actions become our habits become part of our character, and our character is who we are at our core. What I'm going to try and do today is take it a step back before the thoughts and blow your minds with the fundamental laws that are out there that prove that stuff is real. The good, the bad, and the ugly. All of it. Or as Dino would say if he was here, I don't know if you've seen his live, broke his foot, the shit that I talk about when I'm pissed, right? I'm not going to try and explain the meaning of life and shit like that. That is way above my pay grade. But I am going to try and give you the tools to unlock these things so that you can use them in everything. Because you can't fight this stuff. You cannot fight against it. You've got to learn to work with it, to get into that kind of flow state where it's not a problem. And we're going to try and use science fact to prove it. I've got no idea what that globe's for. Come back to it if you figure it out. Oh yeah, so that you can use this stuff. You can use this stuff to. No, I don't know. So something that's really, really kind of woo-woo. And Cam, little shout out to Cam because she's my woo-woo girl. We had woo-woo cocktails last night on her behalf. But does anybody know what this means? Does anybody want to be brave enough to say, I know?
Energy equals matter.
Close. Close. So this was mass. This is created by Einstein, who also said that compounding is the 8th wonder of the world. Right? Energy equals mass times the speed of light squared. Sounds really fucking complicated. But it's not. Energy equals mass. Right? This proves we are all energy. Everything is energy. The chair, the table, my pint. Everything. Everything. It's scientific fact. It's not just a little bit of energy. Energy equals mass, 1 for 1, times the speed of... Does anyone know the speed of light? Did someone shout an answer? Extremely fast. What was that?
300,000 kilometers per second.
Maybe in kilometers, possibly about 679,000 miles per hour, which is probably the same as that, and squared. So it's a big number. Or more accurately, it's a big number times a big number, right? So we're not just a little bit of energy, right? We're not like little bits of energy. We're a big, fuck off, bouncing ball of energy. Massive. Massive. Right? We're a huge amount of energy. Everything is. So that kind of proves that you don't get much more woo-woo than that, right? You hear people say it, but I just can't accept it when people go, well, you know, yeah, we're all energy. Okay, great. Prove it. There's the proof. Now, this gets a little complicated, right? So stick with me. We're going to talk about quantum theory, right? Now, what this proves, well, we'll get to that. But basically, this is called the double slit experiment, and it's the cornerstone of quantum mechanics. And what we do is we take tiny balls, we take electrons or photons, and we fire these things one at a time, like paintballs. Imagine they're paintballs. And we shoot them one at a time towards these two slits. And on the back, we have a detector screen, right? Now, why the fuck is that on there? Anyway, we fire these things towards the screen, right? One at a time, right? The resulting pattern, you would expect to get two straight lines, right? If we're firing these things through these two slits, one at a time, like paintballs, we're going to get two straight lines. But that isn't what happens. What actually happens is we get what's called an interference pattern. So they're firing these things one at a time. But the resulting pattern on the detector screen is the result of a wave. It's lots of lines, and it looks a bit like this. That's an interference pattern. And they couldn't understand why, because these things are the mass, they're bits of marble. They're electrons, they're firing them through. And what do we call a spare electron? Burrows, where's Burrows? What's a spare electron called?
No, not free radical.
Ha ha! Nearly got you. So I thought you'd say free radical, right? But the free radical is the particle that's missing the electron. I almost got you. I kind of got you, I think, there. Anyway, we're firing these things through, and it should create two straight lines, but it creates what's called an interference pattern. And they were like, the scientists were like, well, what the fuck is going on? It doesn't make any sense. What's happening here? Well, it must be going through, it must be splitting into two. Going through both slits, interfering with itself, shout out Burrows again, and then creating this kind of pattern on the back wall. So they said, okay, let's put some sensors on these slits so we can find out what's happening. So there's the little sensors, there's your little marbles, paintballs going through. And when they put the sensor there, the interference pattern disappears. There's no interaction with these things. There's no other change. They're just looking at them. And it breaks down the quantum system and creates the reality that they see, which is two straight lines. Up until that point, it's just a wave of probability. Nothing's been decided. Now that's fucked up, I think personally, right? Don't know about you guys, I think it's fucked up. So it deals with this wave-particle duality of matter. And it means that reality isn't created yet. It's being created by the mere fact of observation. What? This suggests that the mere fact of observation creates the reality that we perceive. We truly are the creators of the reality around us. It's proven. It's proven. Up until then, it's all just a wave of probability. Fucked up, but true. Or more accurately, we create the reality around us. And again, it's ultra woo-woo, right? We've heard that stuff. We're the creators of our reality. We can do all that stuff. But it's scientifically proven. Then we come to the second point. And that looks messy to me. But that's okay, because this is called chaos theory. And chaos theory deals with complicated systems like the weather, the stock market. Complicated systems that have small changes that make big changes. Essentially, things that fuck up. Life that comes along and causes problems. You guys will have all had it at this event. Digs getting cancelled. Trains getting cancelled. Fuck-ups left, right and centre. But you're still here. Alright? It deals with basic human behaviour. It's a fundamental law. We can't change it. You can't fight it. There's nothing you can do about it. Right? So what we've got to try and learn to do is work with it. And you can't fight it. I've got no idea what that brain thing is. Oh, I know. I know. So you think you're there manifesting the shit out of everything, right? Like Cam. But actually, you are subject to these tiny fluctuations, these tiny changes that are going to happen. And there was points that you guys said in the talk earlier that said that, and I can't remember what they were. I was going to shout them out, but I can't remember. But these things are going to happen no matter what you do. You're at the mercy of these things, right? Tiny fluctuations, they're going to make big changes later on. And it's not about whether they happen or they don't happen. They are going to happen. The trains are going to get cancelled. It's going to rain when you're in the park. And these things can be big or small, but they're going to happen. So we can't worry about them. We've got to learn to deal with it. And sometimes these little... I didn't expect that. sometimes these things can turn out better than you ever expected. For example, here we go. That was a mistake. Oh, sorry, shit, not a mistake. That was not a mistake. It was a happy accident. It was chaos theory coming along and fucking things up at the time, right? It wasn't expected. I didn't think I was going to be a dad. I didn't think I was going to be a parent. I thought I was going to be #Bali. But instead, chaos theory came along and said, no. Ruby's going to enter the scene. And this is one of the biggest things that we learn to deal with, because when it happens, even by mistake, by accident, by chaos theory happening, we deal with it, don't we? All the parents in the room, obviously you put your hands up earlier. I don't know whether you guys planned that shit. You're fucking mental if you did. But whether you did or you didn't, you learn to deal with it, right? It's the easiest thing that we learn to deal with, because you're like, we have to, don't you? You have to. What choice do you have? And if you look at it that way, all those problems can be exactly the same. So we can choose to see these unexpected events as a challenge to overcome, or a problem that we can suffer. Your train can get cancelled and you go, do you know what, fuck it, I ain't going, it ain't worth it. Or you find another way. An opportunity for growth, or something that's going to hold you back. It's up to you. A chance to make our lives better, or a hurdle that just smacks us clean in the face. And remember, according to science fact, we create the reality around us. But not all the things we face can be changed, but 100% of the things we don't face won't change. And it's all fine, right? It's all gravy. Because it's the way that we deal with those unexpected events that's really going to matter. So can we, I don't know why I'm looking at that one, that's down there. Can we learn how to create the world around us and control this chaotic system of fuck-ups that's going to happen? And we can. And it's using a thing called lateral thinking. You may or may not have looked this stuff up, but there'll be loads of people in this room that already do it without even knowing they're doing it. And the opposite of that is linear thinking. And this is where someone has a problem and they get stuck, like our little boy on the top there, or girl, or whatever it is, and they get stuck with a problem and they can't think their way out of this solution. They're stuck. A lateral thinker will come across this problem and they'll think of ways, by using the most extreme measures, how they can get out of this problem. And sometimes it's going to result in a better scenario than you had in the first place. So the problem was never really a problem. But you've got to start thinking laterally. You've got to think outside the box. You've got to start thinking, what is the most fucked up way I can get out of this situation? What is the way that's going to make people say to me, you know, you're fucking mad, mate. People say that to me all the time. And I'm like, I'm probably doing the right thing. I want them to say, you're fucking mental, mate. That's a crazy thing to do. And I'm like, okay, cool. So, for example, we get, I don't know, let's say you're running an ad and you get some tosspot who says something on your ad, right? And it completely spins you out. Or, I don't know, you're running ads, you're looking at Facebook, and all of a sudden you've got a big red mark on your business manager. Fucked. Most of us have been there, and your world falls apart, right? What am I going to do? And a lateral thinker thinks, well, I'm fucked. I can't do anything about this. It's the other way around, a linear thinker. And a lateral thinker thinks, okay, how can I get around this problem? What are the things I can do to get around this problem? So that business manager thing is a perfect example of chaos theory in action. A small change in some initial conditions, you've put some silly word in your ad or whatever, and has resulted in a significant disruption to your business. And this is where lateral thinking comes in, because it's a powerful tool that enables us to think creatively and come up with innovative solutions to complex problems, even in the face of all this chaos and unexpected change. By approaching the problem from a different angle and exploring new and unexpected solutions, we can adapt. You lot can't see that, but it turned off. Where were we? Adapt. Where is it? By approaching problems from a different angle and exploring new and unexpected solutions, you can read it anyway, we can adapt to changing circumstances and overcome the challenges that chaos theory presents. And I'm not saying it's an easy thing to do, right? But it can be learned. And once we know that all this stuff is fact, we can start to believe it. When we start to believe it, we can deal with it, right? So all this stuff, in my eyes, and I don't know why it's all like a bit weird. Is that my... Anyway, it doesn't matter. So in our group, we've got lots of different things going on because we've had to think our way out of it. Shit happens. How do we deal with it? We've got group ads. We've got a friends and family hack that we're working on. Typeform would have been created using lateral thinking. Trello, Enagic itself, which we'll come back to. ManyChat, Watty, WhatsApp automation. Live events, it says there. It's hidden underneath that little thing. Live events themselves come from lateral thinking, which we'll go into in a second. Enagic itself. The creation of Enagic by Mr. O was done using lateral thinking. Overall, the creation of Enagic was a product of lateral thinking. Mr. Oshiro's willingness to think outside the box and explore new possibilities to the development of a product has helped millions of people improve their life and well-being. Now, he did that when there was no real scientific evidence. Everybody would have been saying to him, "You're fucking mad, mate." But he did it anyway. And look what it's created just because of the way he was thinking. And he would have had problems, 100%. And you guys, you're literally a product of lateral thinking because we're at these events that wouldn't have even happened probably. So in conclusion, lateral thinking is an essential skill to have in an online marketing world and in your life, where chaos theory can disrupt even the best laid plans. By embracing lateral thinking, pushing it to the limits, going to the extremes of what we're capable of, we can adapt to changing circumstances and find new and unexpected solutions to the challenges we face in business and in our own lives. So I've got some examples here of ads that I've seen that I think show lateral thinking. And this is a Domino's pizza delivery man spotted flying over Glastonbury. I mean, they did not do that to make money, right? They thought this will be a fucking mad idea, right? I don't know who's the mad guy, the guy in there or the guy that come up with the, I don't know, but there's a lot of madness going on. But you know it worked, right? We know that if you see that shit, you're going to be like, Domino's. You're going to remember it, right? So you've got to think about that in your ads. You've got to think about that in everything. What's the most fucked up thing I can do? This is another billboard with Chris Hemsworth, and they actually made sweat come out of the billboard. Probably water, right? But people are up there touching it and stuff, going, I bet it's his real sweat. Either way, right, it's completely fucked up. It's insane. This glue brand decided to stick a car to the billboard. And as if that wasn't enough, they put another one on the top. Could you come up with that shit, right? Because that's the kind of stuff that's going to work. So not using this stuff, not thinking outside the box is like giving up. It's like accepting second place. And that's not acceptable, is it? That's not acceptable, is it? No! And it might be scary to kind of remove this cage, this kind of like, I guess almost a bit like Claire was saying earlier, and giving a fuck about what people think. It's hard, right? But you've got to do it. You've got to give zero fucks, right? What is the maddest thing I can do in this ad that might work? Start there. And then if you can't do it, legally or whatever, work your way back. But don't start at the bottom and think, I'm just going to do this plain, boring ad that looks a bit shit. It might do all right. It won't. When you're liberated from this worry of chaos theory, you feel free to have courage and take risks. And you start to love yourself in ways that, you know, most people can only dream of. Give yourself permission. I think someone said this earlier. Give yourself permission to succeed. Because there is nothing and no one holding you back. You're not going to do some crazy ad that looks unbelievable. It's everything. No one's going to say to you, I don't think you should do that. Right? It's not going to happen. That's what your coach wants. That's what your team members want. That's what you want. No one's going to stop you. But there's this big thing where you kind of feel like, oh, I can't be that out there. I can't do that. You can. And there's nothing holding you back once you can kind of crack the secrets to it. This was written by Thomas Andrew Knight, which you won't have heard of. He's some botanist, right? He's into flowers or whatever. And he probably, this is related to flowers, I don't know, right? But it's bang on. If you try, you may succeed. If you don't try, you will not succeed. This is true of all things. Not succeeding is a result of not trying. This is that funny picture I was talking about. See that little bill in the corner? I've got no idea what that is. It meant something when I put it there, but I've got no idea. So, we've got quantum theory, scientific proof that we create the reality around us. We've got chaos theory, there to fuck us up, to rebalance things, always going to be there. And we've got lateral thinking to be able to get out of that situation and not care, because we know we're going to get out of it. It's not a problem. It doesn't matter what it is. And I'm a little bit psychotic when it comes to that. That's what people say. Because I can be very unemotional in a terrible situation. And it's because I honestly live by this. I lived by this before I even started my Enagic business. Because I had so many different businesses with so many fucked up problems, I had to. And it can be learned, right? It can 100% be learned. So we've got scientific proof that we create the reality around us. We've got chaos theory and the little butterfly effects that are going to mess us up. But we've got lateral thinking to get us out of those problems. And guess what happens when we start thinking laterally? We start creating the world around us. We get problems. We think our way out. We create. We go back. Right? That E wasn't there, honestly. That's Sam messing me about, I'm sure of it. That E was not there. It was in line. So, I want to set everybody a challenge here, because we're going to go on a break in a bit. And when you leave here, I want you to, set yourself a challenge to do something completely mental. Create a new ad. Do something in your community that's never been done before, right? Think outside the box. Think, how crazy can this actually get? And do it. See what happens, right? Join the ranks that bypass the chaos of normal problems by going to extreme lengths it takes to make it, but making it seem easy by using lateral thinking techniques. Now, I can point to people. There's people in here that I can point to that don't even probably know they do it, but they do it. And these are the people that we see go whoosh, like that. Because for them it's natural, right? It's just natural. They're using this stuff to their advantage. They're not worried about it. They don't seem to have these issues because they're just thinking their way around it. They're like, fuck it, I don't care. I'll do this. So, a couple of stories. How are we getting on? Good? I don't know. Anyway. 5 minutes. Ooh. Okay. So, I don't know if any of you follow me on social media, but on Instagram I put a video of my garden. And I've got a double-tiered garden. It's like about 40 centimetres deep across the whole thing. Concrete steps, concrete walls. A nightmare for a 2-year-old, right? She likes to run around out there, and I just cannot take my eyes off her because she's going to crack teeth, right? So I'm like, do you know what? I need to take this all down to one level. How am I going to do this, right? How am I going to do it? I'm going to get some quotes, get someone in, get a price. 10 grand, just to remove the dirt, right? Not to make good, not to do anything nice in the garden. Well, I'm not paying 10 grand, that's crazy, right? I know, I'll get a digger, and I'll do it myself. Right? Now, you can imagine what my friends and my dad and my family said. They said, you're fucking mental, right? Be fine. Don't worry about it. So I order a digger, I order a dumper. I've never ever even, I don't even change a light bulb, right? This digger turns up outside my house and it's sat there, it's got levers all, I don't even know this thing had, you know the buckets? I don't even know they're called buckets. It's got 3 of them. It's levers and I don't know what the fuck it, I said, look, mate, I don't know if I can do this. He'd already left, right? He said, what? I said, well, I don't think I can even get it down the side of my house. Right? He's gone, don't worry, I'll do that for you. I was like, yeah, I know, but go on then. So he's come in, he's done this thing with the wheels, he's took the bars off, he's done all sorts, right? And he's took him half an hour, he's got it down the side of my house, into my garden, on a patio half the size of this stage. It's a fucking digger. Ruby is going out of her mind. There's a digger in the garden. Right? Going berserk, right? Yeah, I'm like, there's a digger in the garden. People are turning up, looking at it, right? You're fucking mad. I was like, it'll be fine, I'm sure. Somehow it will be okay. Anyway, I rang the geezer up and said, look, mate, this ain't happening, right? I feel like a quitter, but this ain't happening. I'm sure somehow this is going to come good, but I don't know how yet, right? So he comes back and he says, I'll take it away. I'm like, all right, cool. He says, but do you know what? I might know a geezer. He's not a gardener, he's a digger driver. I thought, here we go. He says, here's his number, I'll take this away, get him round, have a chat. So he comes round, he takes one look at it, he's like, 2.5 days, mate, I'll have it out. 200 quid a day, 400, 500, 600 quid, we'll have it gone. I was like, yeah, let's do that then. So back comes the digger, and back comes the dumper, and I've now got this beautiful garden with sleepers around the outside, I've got all sorts, I've got the turf in, everything's done, it's flat, right? She loves it. I'm still watering it because it's got to like grow or whatever. But literally, it wouldn't have happened if I didn't order the digger that everyone said I was nuts to do. But I wasn't nuts, right? It happened. It happened. It's physically there. So I did the right thing. It was completely fucked up, I admit it. I was never ever going to dig that garden out. It was never going to happen. I'd have took the conservatory out first. But somehow, because of that fucked up thinking, I've got a beautiful garden, right? And it cost me, in total, there was a bit more, it went over or whatever, but it's like a few grand. Paid for by Mr. O, pretty much, right? Thank you. So, it happened. And I will very quickly tell the other one. I don't know if Ryan's here yet, is he? Probably not. But my first London event, 2018, I went there and Ryan was on stage. And I was like 3A, something like that. Maybe less. Less, actually. And I watched it, and I was like, do you know what? I'm going to do that. I'm going to be up there. I thought, how can I get up there? I can go live in the group, I can make myself known, I can do all that stuff. That's no guarantee, is it? What's the most fucked up thing I can do? I know. I'll do my own one. So we put on that London 001. I put on that London 001. Simply so that I could be stood here. Right? And loads of people said, that's fucked up, mate. But there we are. Now, there was one last thing, but it fell apart. And everything we've talked about today has been happening to me today in real time, right? I had a special guest. I don't know if you saw when I posted it, special guest. I didn't even tell Ali, nobody knew. They're all going, who is it, who is it? I can't tell you. It was Ruby. She would have been running down here right now, jumping on the stage. But if you've seen social media, she's ill, right? So she's completely fucked it up. Right? But it's okay, right? It's all right. Then I had this great idea. I was going to stitch Ian Bailey up and say he was my special guest and get you to come up, but I think that's a bit too cruel. So you've got to keep embracing the chaos and never forget that the unexpected can sometimes bring the greatest joys in life. I do this stuff on the hope that it's going to make me a better leader to my team. Thanks for listening.